Okay, welcome to the Wot Supp podcast. Unfortunately, we don't have Big Matty Highgate with us today. It's his podcast, which is slightly strange, but I'm filling in for Matty. We got a call last minute that he couldn't make the podcast, so here I am covering for him.
We'll improvise.
We are.
You've got the top knot. We're doing well.
We'll be fine. Yeah. So I'm not. I probably look close enough to Matty. Today we have Will from Primabolics. Really good Australian nutrition brand.
Thank you, mate. It's good to be on again.
That's right. So you guys already know Will from last episode.
Yep.
And we've got Big Mike from. You want to tell us a little bit about Magic? We can call him Magic Mike for this podcast.
We can. I've heard that so many times now. I'm just going to run with it now.
You might as well.
I'm thinking of changing my Instagram name to it because...
Look at that, you bloody big, thick human.
Doubles the following overnight.
Tell us a little bit about Magic, your product, your brand.
So basically...
Introduce yourself a little.
So my name is Mike Pearson, Magic Mike, as the boys just alluded to. I've been involved in the industry since I was 17, which is almost 10 years now, coming up on 10 years. And I've been involved in competitive bodybuilding for a long time, working in supplement stores. And literally 2 weeks ago, I left my stable job where I was helping out with a franchise of stores next to Nutrition on Central Coast. And now I'm doing Magic Nutrition full time on the road, trying to grow the brand and build the brand and get it on shelves and product development and all that good stuff.
It's a good little brand too. I've had a chance to sample some of your stuff. He's got. If you guys haven't tried it, what's your Instagram tags and all that for your Magic Nutrition?
So it's just Magic Sports Nutrition.
Magic Sports Nutrition. So look it up, guys. It's going to be out there. You'll start seeing it in more and more stores. I know it's a new brand at the moment, but I've seen a lot of brands come and go through the industries, and I think your formulations are good enough to stand up to the big names in the industry. So. Mike should be a good contribution for us today for our...
Hopefully. I mean, I feel like I wish Matt was here. Hopefully I can be his Caucasian fill-in.
Hands down.
I'll do my best to fill in for him. It's big shoes to fill. He's a large human being.
I don't know. I think you might be overestimating. You might have him covered.
He's more functional than me.
Look at this guy.
He is functional. He can sprint.
He's an athlete of a bloke. For his size, you wouldn't believe. And also, he can skateboard still. Like he's probably over 100 kilos. I've seen him jump off ledges, roll down, and do drop-ins and shit. It's terrifying to watch.
I think he must have a custom skateboard though, right? Things like 12 ply. That's a 12 ply piece of.
That is a big man on a piece of wood.
It's $130 grinding, isn't it? That's a lot of humans.
It's scary, but Matty will hopefully be back next episode.
Yep.
So that's all good. Now, what's been going on in the lives of you boys? What's been happening with you, Will?
Mate, it's been a good sort of ending to 2019. We're charging into the gates 2020 pretty hot. We've got a few new products that we've sort of been putting out, which is cool. Playing with some new herbs that I'm not used to, some cool botanicals. Some new products, mate. Getting out and doing more and more seminars, doing a bit more talking. Just living on the road essentially. Just going full nomad for December.
Very cool.
So
how's the family?
Family's going well, mate. Daughter's absolutely killing it. 18 months. She's doing wonderful. So just started walking, but at a faster pace than she probably should. So lots of things in the house are getting destroyed. But it's good already actually. Family wise, business wise, it's a good end of the year, man. It's been a big one.
Very cool.
It's been big for everyone, I think, this year. Like 19's just been just a huge F-off year for the industry, for business owners, for everyone. It's just,
there's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, especially with the TJ thing that we covered last week.
Well, now, I guess that's something that we should quickly mention is...
we should have a bit of continuity. It probably wouldn't hurt, would it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, after everything that was being said, they kind of put a lot of emphasis on that deadline date.
They did.
And not really understanding that wasn't really, that date didn't really mean much other than the fact that it's the end of the consultation period. So, I saw some people posting things on social media like, did anyone get their doors kicked in? And, did you get your products? That was never what we expected to happen.
Not
I guess.
February.
Exactly right.
I'm kind of scared because I'm not sure if you experienced the same thing, Will, but me being a new brand approaching stores, a lot of the answer I got was, I'm just going to wait to see what happens.
Yeah, it was hard.
People were shitting themselves. I'm just going to wait to see
I think it's important to note, we still don't know what's going to happen. We still don't know what the outcome's going to be. All we know is that the consultation period's over. So,
we're still
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, that means everyone should be going hard as they can, because if worst case comes to worst, in 3 years, everyone should be trying to make as much money as they can now.
Get it before it's gone. Yeah. See, look at they banned everything else, banned DMHA, and things just went mental. Anything with jugglers.
So really what it means is the TGA now has to sit down, have a look at everybody's submissions, and make a decision about what they're going to do. Are they going to amend the proposal? Are they going to scrap the proposal? Or are they going to proceed with the proposal? We won't really know anything until probably at the earliest February next year.
I think we made more waves than I expected, though, to be honest. I think that was like, because I've had emails from local MPs since last week, the other week. We've actually seen it in Parliament. It's brilliant. I think it got a lot more than I thought it would, actually, coverage-wise.
Yeah.
To be fair, an industry that normally hasn't ever actually unified before and actually had a say, we've sort of just gone, this is the regulation. Oh, okay, we'll just deal with it. This is the first time everyone got up and went, actually, no, we'll put a voice forward. And it actually worked. Like, it actually got heard at most levels.
Well, I think had the industry done nothing, we would have seen it pass. So
as unchanged.
Hopefully we've done something. Hopefully we've done enough, I guess, is where we're at the moment. But what I want to do is I want to bring us to our kind of main topic for today's podcast. And what we're going to be talking about is Australian supplements versus the rest of the world. So you guys are really good guests to have on for that, being that you both Aussie brands.
Yeah, sure.
And Australian-owned, Australian-made products. Obviously, we source a lot of our ingredients from overseas because they're just purely not produced here.
They just don't manufacture them. If I could buy them here, I would.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, they just don't physically make a lot of things.
That's right. But so that's really what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Australian supplements and the rest of the world. And I guess, Mike, I'll throw this to you because you're a new brand. You've obviously spent a lot of time doing research and looking into what your formulations are going to be. Can Australian supplements compare to what's coming out of the US? I guess we've always known the US as the leaders in this field. Can Australian brands make products that can compare?
Well, I guess we have to look at what the consumer wants. Do the consumer want what America produces? So, like, are we talking strong stimulants? Are we talking things like ephedrine? All that super strong stuff, which is predominantly what the US can use that we can't use. Do people necessarily want that in Australia anymore? I know that there'll be some young guys that do, but personally, I don't want to be putting X, Y, and Z stimulants and ingredients in a product to sell to an Australian consumer.
Well, I think the interesting thing about that too is the fact that we are limited to what we can use. There are some ingredients that we can't use has really meant that, in my opinion, we've had to innovate a lot.
Oh, we are. We're really big the drivers of innovation here, aren't we? Because if you can't get, say in America where DMAA was legal, you've got your Himby, you've got ephedrine, you've got all these like brutal stimulants that you could formulate very lazily and still make someone's face explode in a pre-workout. You can make the strongest, most comprehensive pre very cheaply just by having basically flavoured DMAA. Here though, we didn't have that luxury for long, so we've had to get cleverer with nootropics. We've developed a lot in that space recently. Your alpha GPCs, your CDPs. We've had a lot of your choline donors, dopamine agonists. We've had a lot of development in the space that didn't before, because we have to.
Well, it wasn't needed, I guess. When we had access to things like DMHA, DMDA, your Himbine, ephedra, we didn't need to
go too crazy on it. You don't need a heap of.
We had those things. It was like, well, we don't need to make any advances. We don't need we don't need to be innovative.
It's challenging us in a way.
It is, isn't it?
It's challenging us to find ways to make products feel more effective, whether that's by nootropics, as Will mentioned, or whether it's by the delivery system.
So is that how what I'd like to know is, with Magic Nutrition, how have you tackled that? What kind of innovations are you making at Magic Nutrition that makes your products stand up to these products in the US?
Well, with the pre-workout, one of the biggest things that separates the Magic Sports Nutrition pre-workout from most others is we've got the patented ingredient cell charge in there, which is basically a super concentrated micronutrient. And because we do have a poor quality of soil in Australia, dietarily we miss out on a lot of, I don't know if that's a word, but through our diet, we miss out on a lot of micronutrients because the soil quality is poor in Australia. So by having that micronutrient in there, the uptake is just potentiated massively. It potentiates the action of all the other ingredients. So the dynamine, caffeine, rhodiola, everything sucks right up.
Well, I think that's something that I've probably seen, like in my opinion as a supplement retailer, I see everything that comes onto the market. You know, I have a look at it, I compare it, I've got to decide what do I want to stock and what do I want to sell.
Yep.
The biggest, I think, advance in nutrition in Australian supplements is really this concept of synergy. We're really using ingredients that amplify each other's effectiveness. You know,
definitely.
Like, I think that you're kind of. Let's take someone who doesn't really understand this stuff. And they want to make a product. What do? They say, let's throw in maximum dosages.
I can use myself as an example. I was
we're just talking about this.
The first magic pre that I wanted to do, I threw the kitchen sink at it with clinical doses.
It doesn't work, right?
And not only that, it tastes like shit, and it's a fucking 50 gram scoop. You know what I mean? It's not feasible. It comes in a protein tub like that for 20 serves, so it doesn't work. You have, like Stu was saying. And I love the way that you said it, the synergy of the ingredients. It's massively important.
It is, hey. I did the same thing recently. I was formulating a new. I wanted to make like God's gift to the pre-workout section. And you did right. You've got on paper, it looked phenomenal. Try it, and it was just a horrendous. Just everything was conflicting. It was mashing. It was just even with the best intentions, laying it down on paper, it didn't quite work. But synergy, particularly in like the nootropic space, is where you start seeing some fun happen. You know?
And if you get it wrong, if you get it wrong, all sorts of things go wrong. You know, the biggest thing that I've seen is too many ingredients, too many conflicting ingredients, too many different kinds of stimulants, and all of a sudden, what happens when you take the product? You want to throw up.
But you've got to be conscious of these ingredients are often hard to mask and hard to flavour. You've got to find that happy medium between creating a product people will actually drink, because not everyone's hardcore. Not everyone will drink concrete and go to the gym and be a tough guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People want products that they can enjoy and feel. And if you're going too hard with specific ingredients without finding the synergy through a blend, you can't nail the flavour, which you need.
Unfortunately, it's a thing. Hey, like back when we all started, we've been in the game a while. The supplements were absolutely rank compared to what we have now. Like if you look at certain ones in the market now versus what we had when we started, it's night and day. Right? We're so spoiled.
We're spoiled.
But the consumers that are in now, the 18 to 24-year-old bracket, they weren't around trying stuff 10 years ago when we were playing with them, so they didn't get that time. So now there's sort of an expectation that you have to meet as a manufacturer of having everything taste like angel tears.
What was your first pre-workout, Will?
Oh, God. Oh, shivers. This is going back. It would have been actually, it was pre-Jacked period. What was around before then? It was Agent Orange, I think it was before then.
Agent Orange?
It was just before Jacked. It was around that Super Pump 250, the Muscle Pump Assault era.
When everything was like 30 grams.
NO Explode in the red tub.
The OG, which had tasted like bicarb, and it was fizzy and fun and grapey. That was the cracker era. And the Muscle Pump Assault in the bucket.
And at that time, everything on the market was coming out of the US. I mean, we had Max.
We had Max's.
But Australian companies weren't doing pre-workouts until the last couple of years.
Probably the last 2 to 3, really. Because even like International's been around for Troy's been around for 25 years, but you didn't see it. I'm sure he had Ignition, that's right, but nothing stimmy.
But it wasn't crazy. It wasn't crazy.
No, nothing stimmy.
So I guess my next question then is I think we all understand that the Australian products are really high quality. They're really high grade. Is the stuff coming from overseas the same quality as the Australian stuff? Or are they missing it? Or are there some things that are and some things that aren't?
It's an interesting one. Obviously, we're a smidgen biased, but I think the economies are what give us the favour, right? So we both manufacture in Australia now, which is fantastic, and so we're fortunate. I used to manufacture in the States though, and just like costs associated with blending, formulating over there, you then have to put on top of customs, GST, duties, air freight or sea freight. Air freight, at one stage, air freight was adding $5 a unit to my bottom line.
Wow.
Yeah. Dude, wow. Yeah. Which, at the time, you know what that is as a percentage of a cost, right? So they're limited. If they're trying to bring that in, then sell that through a distributor, then sell that to a retailer, sell that to a customer. Yeah. They just don't have the luxury that we do, where people like Mike and myself can go straight to a factory. Go, here's the best formula I can think of. Make this. And we can go straight from us to you. Do you
think that then, in order to try and be competitive with local manufacturer, overseas manufacturers are using lower grade ingredients to bring that cost down because the freight charges and the taxes are so high?
We just have to. I literally had to look down that barrel a few times myself. We just copped the margin loss, but we essentially almost broke it. Like we ran a loss for the year and a half we manufactured in the States. Just for that reason, we just wanted to be in the market. We ran the loss. So yeah, you just can't be competitive. You physically can't. The finances aren't there. If you want to have a formula that's clinically dosed and everything, and get it here and put it in. Yeah, you have to think about everything, man. Like, if you want to have a pre, it's actually, say a 15, 20 gram pre, that has to be in a 25 ounce jar, a taller jar, yeah? Now, if you're looking at freighting 500 grams per container, that's half of a protein tub when you think about it. Now, imagine that, but you can only fit them onto pallets into planes, and every square centimetre is charged. So it's
ridiculous.
It is, man. When you start thinking about limitations to formulations they have over there, and when you see a good formula come from the States now, it's going to be an $80 product for 20 scoops because of those reasons. You can't.
Well, I remember my first dabbling in contract manufacture was with the States, and one of the big contract manufacturers over there. I won't name them at the moment, but I developed a product called Pro Bodybuilding Multi, and it was in my.
It would have been so hard.
It was a multivitamin. It was a multivitamin, but it was one of those ones. Your animal pack style, where it's a little sachet.
I love that.
And it had 5 different pills in it, and one of them was a fish oil. The cost of manufacturing this to my specifications was ridiculous. But I mean, at the time, I was happy to take 20%. I was selling direct to retail. So I wasn't.
That sounds like a bad product.
It does sound fun. You should probably bring that back.
I would 100% buy a jar of it.
We're both just taking notes. It doesn't matter.
It was a really good product, but ridiculously expensive to manufacture.
Yes.
And I guess that was kind of my first taste of realizing that this stuff isn't as easy as people think, and also the margins in this industry aren't what people think.
That's one thing. Like just being quite new to it myself. Like before, you might have had this notion of, I'm sure this person is making $70 markup or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Something they get each tub they're making for like $5 or something like that. And you're just like, no.
Yeah, then you get on the outside of the fence. You're like, I was actually getting the better deal before. It's like this. I should have stayed in retail.
Hence why I'm still in retail.
I think going back to what we were saying earlier about can overseas manufacture better quality products. I mean,
they could physically, obviously.
Maybe they can, but I just feel like being Australians that have grown up in the industry, loving bodybuilding and training and fitness and supplements as a whole, we have a pretty good grasp on what people in our country want.
Yes.
Like we're not manufacturing for overseas. It's like, you know what I mean?
We're not making sour gummy worm flavours. We need 4 litres of water to drink it in.
Fruit punch.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing too. I've noticed Australian companies, the flavours that we do cater for the Australian taste.
And they're more subtle and they're more fruit driven and they're more tropical fruits, things that we enjoy, like more suits our palate, right? The Americans love their big candy flavours.
Everything's blue raspberry or as you guys said, fruit punch.
It's all synthetic flavours, they're all just like
fruit punch.
We all quiver with it.
Sends chills up and down. I remember the old fruit punch.
Do you remember the all the mesomorph in the...
Does anyone remember fruit punch GH Blast?
I'm thinking back to Resurrect PM, the old Robbie Common sleep formula, man. That in the minty melon.
It's interesting that you mentioned DY Nutrition. I remember when that first came out, and Dorian Yates came out with a statement, and it was something along the lines of, if it tastes good, it can't work. So he was marketing his products as, my products taste bad because they work.
Genius. So he should really have jumped on that.
He's a hardcore dude, and hardcore dudes are going to buy his products. They're not going to give a shit how it tastes.
In saying that, he evolved to a point now where his nutrition tastes. He's switched that.
Tempura has to taste like angel as well now, so we're all the same mode, unfortunately.
I'm sure everyone's used that as a behind the counter at a supplement store at some point, just saying, fuck the flavour, just drink it. You know, do what you want it to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's still companies now that as well that are sort of open with it, which is cool. Like Mindblocks are big with it. Yeah, like they say, I saw them over at the Gorilla Chemist was over in the Arnold's last year, and then same sort of thing. He said, well, look, cheap shit ain't good and good shit ain't cheap, and basically the same thing works for active ingredients. If you want for clinical doses, unfortunately it's not always going to taste fantastic, and if you look at their formulas, they're heavy dose guys, you're looking at like 5 grams of betaine and stuff. Like, it's not things that are pleasant.
So I guess we've covered a couple of things. We've talked about flavours, all that sort of thing. One thing I've noticed in the last probably 2 years, an explosion of new Australian brands.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it?
What are your thoughts on it? What's driving this? Do you think it's a good thing?
I think it's awesome, man.
Do you like the competition?
I love it. I think it's so cool that you can walk into a sub store now, and you're in a great era now, Mike. You'll see, like, going back even a year, you'd walk into a Supp store and it'd be 90% American brands, hands down. Like it'd just be big, giant companies, especially in the protein space in particular. There wasn't one company that was less than a multi-billion-dollar company.
You walked through my store just before.
Yeah, it's all Aussie brands.
It's hard to pick an American brand on my shelves.
And that's so cool. Like literally probably the last 12 months, I'd say. And it's because the guys that are doing it here are putting good formulas together. They're running like clinically dosed everything, science-backed stuff. It's tasting good, and they're delivering it at a price point. Like it's great. And they're manufacturing here instead of before. We didn't have the luxury of such good factories here before. We had a lot of nightmares trying to manufacture here. But in the last 12 months, 18 months, manufacturing in Australia has really upped its game.
Yeah.
And the amount of brands that are now going, we can, and big brands are going, we can make this here.
Well, we've seen even the big distributors now coming out with their own brands. And,
we have.
I mean, that's a little bit secret and hush-hush, so we probably shouldn't talk too much about what brands those are. But Mike, I guess you're someone who's part of this explosion.
Yeah.
So, you're one of these brands I'm talking about that's just kind of popped up overnight. Is it because...
Man, it hasn't been overnight, trust me.
Well, I mean,
it hasn't been overnight.
It doesn't feel like it. That's
in terms of the fact that to develop a brand, used to be... at least a 2-year process, and then you're waiting sometimes months for shipping of units. You're having to get pallets sea freighted over. Minimum order quantities were astronomical. Do you think that's what's partially driving the explosion? Is that your MOQs are now lower? You don't have to get, say, 5,000 units in order to start a brand.
The fact that it can be produced locally, the accessibility is obviously a lot better. It's obviously a lot better. And I think it is a great thing for the industry. I think it's a great thing for the Australian industry as a whole because it's supporting people in our country. It's supporting our country, domestic manufacture. It's amazing. And I encourage people, if they want to do it. But the successful ones are going to be the ones that can cover all bases.
See, my opinion on that is, you said if you want to do it. I'm a little bit kind of on the other side. To me, I like to see people doing this who are really almost experts in ingredients. I want to see people who know this stuff. I don't want to see someone coming out with a brand and doing exactly what we talked about before, which is, I've been training for the last 10 years. I've used supplements, so let's make one of these. Let's make one of these monstrosity, Frankenstein shakes. That's just everything thrown together, and it just doesn't work.
Let's just Google Wot Supp, like top 10 biggest selling bodybuilder.com, copy and paste.
So my biggest,
I would hate people aren't going to last though. Well, if you're going to do it, you have to do it well. Otherwise, you're going to have no longevity.
Well, I would just hate to see a market so flooded with these products that are these Frankenstein shakes that you can't see the good stuff anymore because there's just too much.
They won't last, man. They won't last. Okay. If you're not in it for the right reasons, if you haven't got passion for fitness, training, sports, nutrition in this industry as a whole, your brand's it's not going to work. You have to live and breathe it and actually be in it. You have to be in it. You have to be.
It takes a lot to make a good formulation too. I've been involved in formulation for quite a few years. I've been approached by companies and I've been contracted to help with formulations and stuff. This is stuff that has taken me 10, 15 years to acquire the knowledge and the skills to formulate well.
Because it's one thing on interactions, but a lot of them are human studies, or they'll be rat studies, and then it might be we use it in a different application, and again, and like a study might be on a certain dose of something. Particularly botanicals are really hard for it. But then you go, at a higher dose, it does the exact opposite effect. There are certain herbs at a certain dose will be calmative. At a high dose, will be excitatory. They're stimulants. So straight away, like rhodiola, for example, is in Magic Breed. At 500 megs, that thing, that's a very energizing, stimulatory sort of effect. Have it in a lower dose, around the 200 mark, you can throw it in a adrenal form and help someone sleep.
You don't
know that unless you use it.
And I think the hardest thing is that there's no university degree in this stuff.
No, there's no manual saying how to make the ultimate supplement or how to run an Australian Supp company.
So essentially, it comes out of trial and error, experience, and mounds and mounds of research.
I think, like you're saying, because there is no qualification for it as such, that's what I like to refer to bro science as. And I know there's bro science people that don't know what they're talking about, but I often refer to bro science as experience. Because like you get a lot of bodybuilders or people, just for example, that don't know why something works, but they've been doing it for the last 10 years and the results are there, and and it works. You know what I mean? It's due to their time in the trenches and their experience.
Yeah, because you do right. Like you literally just have. It gets to a point where you just literally have to get a sample tub. It might be a kilo of pre, and you just have to train on it in every possible combination. Whether you're fatigued, whether you're well slept, so have it train on it fasted, train on it fed. You train in the morning, night. You have to literally just get down and just go, okay, what does this do if I consume these actives in this ratio? You just have to try it at some point, and that's where bro science comes in, right? Like your best intentions, formula-wise, again.
Drink it and
yeah, that part. These boys had a good fun with that, man. I was sticking around with these guys testing that out, and it was a pain. The poor guys, the formula was god tier, but I know these guys had hell trying to get that thing to taste like it does now. So,
and that's what you're saying, like popping up overnight. Like the three of us, the boys and I, probably started Magic 15 months ago or more, and we've had a failed product since then. Do you know what I mean? We started with a fat burner, and I think we're all.
But it made you fatter, right?
It was a fat gainer. It was a fat gainer. But it's just an example. We came out with a product, and
that's a fail. That's always a fail. You make a fat burner, you put on weight, you got problems.
Yeah, it's a good product. What it does is it burns muscle and builds fat.
It's cortisol at the top.
Let's get on to. I want to talk a little bit about raws and where they come from. So something that I deal with the customer all the time. The customer more than ever is reading the label. They're looking at the label and they're reading things like manufactured in Australia using imported ingredients. What does that mean, and why are we doing that? And is the quality still there? First of all, where's it coming from?
Gotcha. Okay, look, that changes per space. So I guess you've got, but most of it is manufactured in either China or US, depending on what you're trying to source. As you said before, like our manufacturing space has gotten really good, but we just don't synthesize a lot of the raws. Full stop. It's just not been a technology here that we've really run with previously. So China is still a large sourcing ground for a lot of the raws. America will often import those. We're fortunate enough that there is obviously like quality. If you work with a good manufacturer, there's quality testing along the way though. So you have the option of certificates of origin and getting actual screens on things. So our factory is really good on a lot of the rules do cut. Like I can ask where every single ingredient will come from. Like in the adrenal product, the ashwagandha is coming from a UK source actually, and they've got a special botanical setup for it, which is really cool. Normally it's a Chinese and Indian herb. But you can actually, your factories now, good factories, will be able to work with you to say where it's coming from. But probably most of them, China and America are the two most common.
So I know that the stigma about China is that it's low quality. Is that true?
Yeah, quality control.
Or do you think there is some good stuff coming out of China?
Personally, I mean, it's possible. Like, it's definitely possible that it could be. But I think the stigma holds true to a degree. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I've been involved in formulation manufacturers, My opinion, it takes a long time to find a company in China that is producing something that's high quality, but they're out there. It's just like trying to find a needle in a haystack, unfortunately.
Because we got what we found scary, but even the US, we fall fault to it. Because they got on so our factory tested a few sort of popular US brands for a bit of fun, and some of them were, and it's largely because of the labelling laws of the FDA. You can get away with things that are considered stabilisers or fillers. Don't have to be labelled necessarily on the panel as per se. So you can have maltodextrin listed as an actual stabiliser or flavourer, and so you ended up with some of the formulas they were screening were 20 to 30% malto or fillers.
That's hectic.
It is, isn't it? So and some of these were fat burners and pretty. So imagine buying a product, $79 fat burner from a popular large scale American trusted brand. Getting it there, and it's a 6 gram scoop. You got 2 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
And I heard, and I was manufacturing in the States at the time, and I was mortified and went, "Fuck that! I'm bailing." So we started here, but it was we just didn't have the access to testing at the time. So there's cowboys in both spaces. America, where I guess you traditionally expect to be.
Well, there's more space. There's going to be more cowboys.
That's a good one.
And the other thing is too, a lot of it is produced in the South, where you do have actual cowboys.
The old Kentucky Pre. So that really interested me. But I thought that was a good way of showing both sides. Like we're not too biased on yes, there's gems in Chinese manufacturing, but there's also, by the same token, flip the coin, there's also some US cowboys doing some dodgy stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it depends where you source it. It comes down to just working very closely with the manufacturer and making sure, like, actually getting, you know, authenticity certificates around that and quality testing and stuff, because it can be premium A grade things from States. You get it tested and it might not be what you think.
Yeah, well, I mean, like with my experience anyway, I've found that a lot of the contract manufacturers in Australia anyway, the ones who have been doing it a long time, they've gone through this trial and error process, and they're sourcing raws now from something that they trust and something that's consistently good quality.
Yeah,
so
their supply chain's gotten a lot better. Because they did the same thing as us. Like when I started, I had 1,000 units pre-workout, clump and go hard. You know, this was the time when I was working full time. Didn't have the turnover of a brand behind me. I was literally just doing it on the side, and I got a personal loan. I just told the bank I was going to buy a car and ended up putting it towards pre.
I love hearing your story.
Dude, it'll make you depressed. It's safe for another podcast. But so we got this clump. And that was purely a result of a factory that wasn't aware of certain elements of ingredients of raws. They didn't know how to work with them, and you know that was just wash their hands of it. But you know, certain ingredients are hygroscopic; they're not stable. You know, they hold moisture. There's heaps of things you have to consider when you're manufacturing, not just the quality of the raw. How stable is it?
Well, that's the other thing too. I think that with formulation, it's something that's often overlooked. Is it's not just about the actives. You've got to also look at anti-caking agents.
Yes.
You've got to also look at, you know, like all these things that kind of make the product consumable.
Yeah, God, man. This happened this week, dude. I was playing with an intra-workout sort of formula, and I wanted to I love natural sources on things. Like I use, like, if I want to get iodine, I'll use kelp. You know, like if I'm trying to get electrolytes, I want to use coconut water. But coconut water as powder is like horrifically hygroscopic because it's mainly electrolytes, right? It's potassium. Like so I knew straight, like, in that formula, best possible form, best possible absorption, but it's going to cake, so I can't sell it because it'll go hard on retail shelves.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, this is the best practice I want, but it's not commercially viable. It's not going to work.
People want to see a fluffy powder with no clumps. They don't want to see any inconsistencies in the colour. They don't want to see any of that stuff, regardless of if the product is still perfectly viable, perfectly usable.
The texture must be beautiful.
They don't want to hear it.
The texture must be beautiful. Yeah.
That's like the salt paper.
You know, I guess a funny one that happened to me in one of my early formulations when I was still learning. This was a young Stu Shannon, dabbling with different compounds, different anti-caking agents. You know, obviously we're all familiar with silicon dioxide and all the standard ones. Yeah. But there's an ingredient that's used as an anti-caking agent in a lot of capsule products. And I tried to use the same one in a powdered product, which is magnesium stearate. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but there is no way you can dilute magnesium stearate in water. It does not dissolve at all. It cannot.
It can't. That's why it's used in powders for capsules. So it's used, anyone, normal people, it's literally the stuff we put in capsules to stop it becoming liquid. So
it's dry. Water will run from this stuff.
Imagine chalk powder.
So you put this. I made this beautiful powder. It was fluffy. It was easy to work with. All my equipment that we were using for mixing and for decanting was just perfect. Nothing was sticking. It was like, this stuff is fluffy. It's beautiful. I'm onto something here with this magnesium stearate. Mix it into your water, and all of a sudden, all right, it looks okay. And then on top, you have this layer of powder sitting on top. You cannot make it mix.
That was like the old CLA and MCT. I remember when they first came out, they started doing like liquid substitute MCTs and CLA, and it'd sit on the top, and it tasted like whale blubber. It was like drinking lipstick. It was
terrible.
It was bad.
Something else I want to ask you guys, and this is kind of a little bit harder for you because you don't always see the end consumer, but in your opinion, do you think that the consumer in Australia now, in the current market, prefers to see a product made in Australia, or do you think they prefer a US product?
100% Australian.
Yeah,
it's 100%.
Not even a question. It's actually probably the thing that gives us the most commercial edge, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we're up against people with $1 million marketing budgets. Like, they do our turnover just in a marketing campaign. You know, like, it's not even a thought for them. So we can't out-budget them. But the thing that gives us the competitive edge is purely that people like supporting small local businesses. You know, like when you rock up to an event, they realise, hey, this is a guy from an hour down the road. That's actually behind this brand. It's a very different reaction to, this is a large multinational corporation who produces this in some unknown factory in Pakistan. You know, it's very, very,
that's something strange that I've seen though, is products that are designed to be released in Australia, which might be manufactured in China or something, and companies slapping a US flag on it, or wanting it to appear.
That's a good point, man.
As though it's manufactured in the US.
That's a really America.
What do you think? Do you think the purpose of that? Do you think that they've misunderstood the market and think?
I think that they. I mean, from what I make of it, they think it's going to make it seem more hectic, more hardcore, more. It's from fucking America that's going to fuck you up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to come at it with that sort of angle.
And come on the marketing angle of like all the big brands are American,
yes,
so I want to look like a big brand.
Yes.
Because we went that way at the start, and like we all fall victim to it. At the start, we went, okay, we're a very small operation. We need to appear bigger, so we need to make ourselves seem like a big company. So we put our website as primabolics.com, not .au, and all the email domains were .coms, and and everything was was branded as if we were.
But then all of a sudden, your search engine optimization, you don't get any rankings in Australia.
Nothing. Luckily, because I don't do it on the website, but if I did, I'd suck. But then you go, oh, actually, retailers like that I'm made here. This okay. I fucked that up. We'll sort of flip that around now. And now it's the exact opposite. People like supporting Aussies. Just like we all work with independently owned stores, and those independent guys like to support similar people. It's sick. So I think like now, I don't know about the end consumer as much at the moment.
Well, as a retailer, you've seen my store. You've been through my stuff. You've seen the brands I stock. We're currently talking with your team at Primabolics, and we're currently talking with you guys at Magic as well. These are two brands I actually personally don't stock at the moment, but we're looking at them, and but it's because you guys are. I've only just sort of come into contact with you guys.
I think I on Monday.
Exactly right.
It's Saturday now.
So, this is, but it's something that I'm very interested in. Is dealing with Australian brands, dealing with guys who care about these products, and dealing with guys who care about supporting a strong industry in Australia, and that's something that I'm right behind.
Do you see that in the retail space? Because I started in retail, much like Mike, and then worked backwards, sort of went back a step. So do you see that now with consumers though? Like, do you find a lot of customers come in, they prefer the Aussie-made model?
Well, I find that the consumer really is willing to listen to my advice.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're here for a reason, right?
So
they want to know.
That's right. And don't get me wrong. I get people who come in and they're like, "Do you have Gold Standard Whey?" Now, when I first started this store, I was told that if I didn't stock Gold Standard Whey, I would fail in 3 months. You can't run a supplement store without Gold Standard Whey, right?
I've heard of, right? Or C4 or.
I don't stock it. There's no C4. There's no Gold Standard Whey. You won't find them in here. Do I get asked for them? Yes. But I don't have a problem showing people products that are as good or better that are also made in Australia. And I think when they can see that the product is as good or better, and they can also see that it's made in Australia, all of a sudden, they're happy to buy it. They're happy to try it. And usually what I find is if they try it, they'll stick to it because I believe we're making better products. Then Gold Standard Whey anyway, I stock a lot of JDN products, which I personally I believe are one of the best protein powders made in Australia.
Great.
I do a lot of Transcend. I do a lot of White Wolf nutrition for the more natural stuff.
Yeah, we should get him on actually at some point.
He's too scared in front of cameras.
Is he?
Look, I'm sure we could bring him out.
We'll do an audio only one with him. We'll just do a dark lights off and just a mic.
He can sit facing the back wall. And we'll just
talk to him in the corner.
We'll just have his voice.
Hey Matt, what do you think about it? That'd be good.
But I think that the consumer is happy to listen to advice.
Okay. Good feedback.
I find the hardest thing though is that the consumer is now educated to a point where they somewhat know what they're looking for, but they're not educated to a far enough extent that they can really see the nitty gritty. They can really see the difference between, say, a hydrolyzed, whey protein or a standard WPI or a concentrate. I mean, there are some that are.
Yeah,
but some people are just looking at protein content.
It's a good point though, hey, because they are a lot more than even the last. Oh god, and again, it's probably been in the last year or so. People have gotten heaps more educated in their health. Hey, I don't know if it's just like
it's Instagram.
It's
Instagram. That's why.
We're talking about Magic Mike. Instagram is his life. It's
Instagram because everyone's posting their work. Like people that aren't even into competing or whatever. People that are posting their workouts and what they do at the gym. Just people just normal people. Do you know what I mean? Just when they go to the gym, they're like, post it. Do you know what I mean? It's making people more conscious and aware.
That's a good point. Actually, that's fair because I saw it at first in more I could say progressive traditionally thinking towns like Melbourne and stuff, I'd go. And a lot of the consumers they might be less about the huge blow your face off stimulants and so on, and they might actually care about if the salesperson mentions things about adrenals and stuff. Like, I think that sort of thing's pretty cool, but I guess you're right, like, it's just more awareness now. Like, some of these people have got millions of followers. That's millions of everyday people seeing just a healthier person, and they're starting to go, oh, maybe I should probably look into why they're peeled and I'm not.
Yeah, you might have an influencer with a million followers, doesn't give a shit about health or fitness, but they've got an endorsement with a supplement company, and they're posting about it, talking about it, and it's still making people aware.
Yeah.
It's making it present in their mind. It's not a bad thing, it's great for the industry.
It's a good idea, though. That's right, man. I hadn't thought from that angle. Because I really couldn't actually pin what's had people more aware recently, like in the last little while.
Oh, they are. They're looking at the labels. They're doing their best. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there, though, also. So I'm seeing things like people buying a bag, like a 25 kilo bag of protein, and just purely looking at the protein content per se.
I love that.
And not caring that it's a blend of low grade whey protein concentrate and casein.
Yeah, some caseinate and stuff.
Or it's Baker's Whey or something.
Oh, I saw one this week. It was it was just literally called sweet protein. It was the little trademark name they had in the blend. I'm 90% certain it was just milk powder. Like, not even concentrated.
Be careful. Be careful saying that on here.
So I think the thing that I guess the biggest issue is the consumer can read the nutrition panel
again,
and you can see a protein content.
Prop blends are gone.
They can.
Blends are
We
gone.
probably should have covered that when we did the American thing. Hey, we're open label now. That probably should have been something we touched on when you said American versus Australian brands. Biggest difference was opening up the panels, right? That made the whole game different. Like, as soon as you took away, the micro scoops, 2 gram pre-workouts were just all stim, and if you look at the first ingredients, beta-alanine, you're like, well, that has to be 3.2 to be clinical, and it's a 3 gram serve, and there's 7 ingredients.
Yeah. So we know it's underdosed.
We straight away know. Whereas now, it's like it's hard to find a product that is prop blended. Like, it's almost hard.
People that are slightly more cluey than the average, they will check straight away whether it's a prop blend. People that are somewhat educated, not massively educated, but somewhat, avoid prop blends.
Yeah, well, let's just pause for a second, because there's going to be people watching this podcast who don't know what a prop blend is.
Cover that, shouldn't we?
So I guess I can cover this. So So a prop blend, or otherwise known as a proprietary blend, is a listing of total ingredients used in a product. And the total dosage of the combination of those ingredients is shown, and the individual dosages aren't shown. So we might see, for example, stimulant matrix, and there might be 6 ingredients listed, and we might have a gram total, but we don't get told how much of each of those ingredients is in there. That's what's known as a proprietary blend. This is what we're trying to avoid now. Now in Australia, we've started using what we call an open label system, or a full disclosure panel.
And I think this is what we touched on last week with the TGA issues. We're already Australia leads the way in a lot of ways, both innovation, product wise, ingredient wise, and being just transparent and open with customer quality, because we have to be, right? Isn't it scary to think there was a time when almost every pre-workout you picked up on the shelf
was a prop blend?
It was. And how scary is the thought of an undisclosed amount of stimulants?
And people didn't care. People didn't care.
That gives me anxiety just thinking about it now.
Can you imagine taking that scoop and you don't know it's an undisclosed amount of stimulant?
But we didn't care.
We didn't
care. We were like, oh man, it just makes me feel like I want to rip my face off.
No one knew. No one knew. We didn't care because we weren't educated.
We didn't think about it twice, did we really? Now think back, when I was a kid, I was like, well, yeah, it works. This is a pre-workout supplement, you just take it.
And we were more, I think
it must be healthy for me because it comes in a bottle and there's a label on it, so it must be safe.
We were happy to, I think we were happy to just believe the marketing.
Yeah.
We're happy to just look at the marketing. We're happy to look at, this turns you into some sort of a super freak. All right, that's enough for me. All right, Ronnie Coleman's using it. Okay, that's enough for me.
10,000% increase in anabolism. Fuck, sign me up.
Give me 2 scoops.
So the marketing,
the
marketing was something that we really, when we were younger, we were a little bit less educated, and we went, all right, that sounds great.
And you look at what I was saying before about Instagram. the marketing then was the magazines. That was print media. It was
Yes.
Jay Cutler, and that's before people gave a shit about looking good with abs on Instagram. That was when everyone wanted to be massive. Do you know what I mean? That was in like the mythical time of bodybuilding, where you had the only contact you would have with like a pro is reading about him in a magazine,
or meeting him at an expo once a year. If you drove a few hours to an expo and line up for 5 hours,
or if I really wanted to see one of them buy $15,000 worth of their branded product and get them in my store.
Yeah. And now
Then be stuck with it for 3 years going, oh man, I've got to move this Ronnie Coleman stuff.
and now you can go on Instagram and just watch their story and have access to them right then and there.
Yeah.
It sort of devalues it almost, because they were gods in our era. Like,
They were mythical creatures. Like I consider all the guys like Phil, Jay, Branch, Dennis Wolf, and like Kai Green, anyone from around that era when Dennis Wolf was placing third, they were mythical because like you didn't have access to them. Now all the guys are like, oh yeah, he's massive and mad, but like I don't really care anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's not as exciting because he's not.
And I think it's because you're always seeing freaks all the time too on your feed, just constantly. You're desensitized to it.
You're desensitized to it.
Yeah, like back then you'd see like Marcus Rule, the O2 Night of Champs, just walk out and just smoke the entire world.
Marcus Rule still, you still look at that Marcus Rule, and you just go, what is that?
It's just a walking stone.
What is that? Is that a man?
It
Is
just
it
makes
a cow?
It just makes you instantly want to use Horsepower X and Pro Style Way.
Horsepower X, fuck yeah.
And Ultimate Nutrition.
I want to talk about this. There's one more thing I want to talk about today, and it's the bro consumer in his search for stimulants. Okay,
yes.
This is something that for me as a retailer is frustrating.
It hurts,
it's probably the most common question I get is how much caffeine.
What's your strongest pre-workout?
What's your strongest?
Yeah,
what's your best?
Yeah, and by best, what they mean is what's the strongest. It's what has the most caffeine is what they're saying. It's not even what's the most clinically dosed.
And here's the thing too though, the product that I stock that has the most caffeine is not the product that gives you the biggest hit.
Exactly.
So I think that there's this, I don't know where it came from, but there's this misinformation that if you read the nutrition panel and you look for the caffeine content,
then it'll be
the highest one is your best.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the bro consumer and the stim search?
It's sort of come full circle to an extent, actually, hasn't it? Like it used to be the microdose things were the go-to, where it was like the remember the Giant Riot sort of era, where everything was like 1 gram scoops, only stim, no actives, and just melt your face in as small a package as possible. That was what they wanted. It was pure stim at one stage. It's come now full circle, went really heavy on the clinical. We got like big, like 20, 25 gram serving size pre-workouts. So now we've gone back to, but it's still that market. You're right. That like literally just idolize caffeine, and it's like if you look at some of the formulas put together now, the things you can do to someone without any caffeine at all, or with minimal caffeine and just nootropics, or with cool, make it absorb better, or what have you, or delivery systems. There's so much we can do, but you're right. Lately, I've noticed in the market, a lot of people are really fixated on the caffeine amount. And before, it was like the most basic.
You didn't care. You weren't looking for the caffeine.
Yeah, it was the most boring thing. Like, oh, caffeine, yeah, whatever. What are the other stims, or what's with it, or how's it blended?
Why do you think that they're searching for stims so hard? What is it? What is it about stims? Yeah. Like for me, I don't like stimulants.
No,
I like a good vasodilator.
Yeah,
and a good nootropic blend, but
maybe 150, 200 mgs caffeine tops. Just get you in the gym training and then let the pump do the rest.
Why does the consumer, or why is there that bro consumer who's so obsessed with stims?
Well, if you speak to anyone that's been around for a while and they've had some success with their training, like you just mentioned, you're going to be 150 milligrams, 200 milligrams max, mainly going for pump, ingredients to improve performance. But that's because you know that too much caffeine is actually counterproductive.
Well, it's a vasoconstrictor, right?
Not only that, I'm sure everyone here has a certain amount of dedication and routine with their training. It's not... We don't require caffeine to get amped up and go to the gym because we want to do it anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think the bro consumer is starting to fade out a little bit. I think people are starting to steer away from crazy strong stims. It's always going to be there, but I think it's starting to fade out. And I think that's largely just because, like I said, we all know we don't need crazy amounts of caffeine. But a lot of them, they don't know that. They don't want to go to the gym anyway. They just take it and see what happens. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just, and it's a very elementary level person that training and using supplements.
Novice training.
It's very elementary, very novice.
Now, if you are that, that stim, you're in the search for stims.
Yeah.
What should we be looking for? What should we be looking for if not caffeine? What should, if you're looking, if you're talking to that consumer right now and you want to say the best way to go and find that, that pre-workout that slaps you in the face and makes you feel like you're going to rip the gym apart, what are they looking for?
Magic Pre.
Well played, sir. I was waiting like, you can do it first or me? Insert tub. Put it here. That's a crack one. I think what's best and why people come into stores like yourselves is the recommendation part of it now. They're more willing to listen, I think, that angle. They're coming in asking for that, but in reality they just haven't been shown, or they haven't trained on a pre yet that will also do the rest of the stuff. That will do like real tunnel vision focus. It'll do filthy pumps, all the cool stuff. Actually support training, actually support the body's energy systems and stuff, not just blast your face with synthetic.
And I think it comes down to, I guess the responsibility in a way of the person behind the counter to educate.
Yeah.
Give them a run.
Education a little bit. Explain to them why. And usually guys that come into the store, they're going to trust you. They know you, they trust you. If you explain something to them and why, they're going to listen.
Yeah, I think you touched on something too that I don't think a lot of people understand, and that is that vasodilators and stimulants directly conflict.
Yeah.
Okay? So a stimulant is, in essence, a vasoconstrictor. It closes blood vessels and reduces blood flow. And a vasodilator is trying to do the opposite. So when someone comes in, they go, I want your heaviest stimulant with your most vasodilation. It's hard to do.
It's like the old caffeine creatine thing. Yeah, 100%. It's a... it's like the old caffeine creatine thing, right? It's tugging. It's like if you have caffeine with 400 megs, if you got 400 megs of caffeine in a pre and 6 grams of citrulline, it doesn't really matter. It's opposing pathways, and cortisol will win any day of the week over ENOS. So you've got to really pick your battles in that front.
So my recommendation usually to a customer is, I need to know, do you want stims or do you want vasodilation? And I will give them a product targeted to what they're actually asking for.
Or even stepping back, what's your goal? Are you trying to build? Are you trying to cut? Are you doing this to be healthier and feel better and be stronger and fitter?
Or you just need something to pick you up after your 12-hour shift.
You have 28 kids and just need to make it through the afternoon.
How many cats do you own? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, which is the case for some people.
It is. Like some people, you do see it. Hey, I've got a background. I've spent 5 years in mining, so I've been guilty of using stimulants just to get through a pretty disgusting sort of work.
Oh, we've all done it. We've all used our fair share of stims over the last 10, 15 years.
We've abused them. We all have. So we can't talk like we're high and mighty on this. Like, we have thrown the stone.
I've gone over a gram a day of stimulants before. Don't act like you haven't. Don't judge me just because I'm being honest.
I'm going to throw the stone back there.
Don't judge me.
That's bad.
That's like 3 weeks out from a contest prep, working full time, PT clients before and after work.
And I wonder why we get adrenal fatigue.
And let's be honest. Like you said before, we generally have the motivation to get out and train without the need for stimulants, but there's going to be those times when you've had that absolute shit of a week. You're dead, you're ruined, you're a zombie. All you want to do is sit down on the lounge and watch, SpongeBob or something.
You're a SpongeBob.
Well, I like a bit of light humour. And you need a stimulant to really just pick you up off the ledge.
You do, and I guess we're fortunate that we're in a space where we manufacture things that are feel supplements. Like I think I'm very fortunate in that regard. Like if you made a product that wasn't a feel product, it would be a lot harder than what our job is now. We're very fortunate you can give someone a scoop of Magic Pre or Warfare or Grind, whatever the product might be, and they can go up and they immediately have an effect. They feel it, and that experience is part of the whole thing. It's an experience-based product, right? So you're right. There are times where that is 100% what they're for, but as a supplement space, when people ask me what's the most effective one, I tend to go down the hormonal pathways and things that help with sleep or cortisol or whatever. But if you look at it from for everyday people trying to get in the gym, the hardest thing's motivation. So taking something that gives them that extra kick and gets them in training versus not training, that's at 100% of the efficacy, right? That is the most effective thing ever. Training versus not training, if it's just taking more caffeine than not, I'll say take steps. If you're an elite level, like you guys, and you've been training 10 years and it's then you start looking at the nuances of what does that stim do. It's just the average person is just like, I might just bitch it because I'm feeling flat. Not like, will I train, I have a bad session. It's like, no, I might not go at all. We think it's incomprehensible,
and that's the exact reason that we make these products, to help people. Like,
It is.
and a caffeine-based product might be there for that shift worker or for that parent or for the bodybuilder 4 weeks out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just needs it to get through because you need to stir that. And like you said, it's 100% increase versus not going at all.
That's right. So that's what I tell people. You know, if you're looking at a stimulant, if it's going to be the difference between going or not going, then take it
every day.
You know,
exercise gives you so many. It's so forgiving. If you get someone who even has a rubbish diet, consumes alcohol, has poor sleep, everything, at least you get them exercising. That in itself. It buys you a lot of leeway. It cuts you a lot of, there's a bit of elbow room there once you start exercising in terms of flow on health benefits that you can sort of forgive a lot of stuff. So you're like, look, this person's already sleeping crappy, they're already a shift worker, their cortisol's off the charts, their adrenals are screwed, but they're either going to go home and have KFC on the way home and sleep, or they're going to go and train. All right, cool, let's give them some stim. It's a necessary evil.
The lesser evil.
The lesser evil, right? And we're fortunate enough to make those and be able to help those guys get in the gym. So it's a nice space we're in.
100%.
Yeah.
So I guess as a final thought for today's podcast, Aussie-made products are going to be the go, right? I think that's what we've come to. If you have the choice, if there's something that's Aussie made versus made overseas, and the Aussie made is as good or better, we're going to choose the Aussie made, right?
That's the game.
And people are always going to try new things, but we're Australians.
Yes.
This is Australia. You know what I mean?
I think
use it. If we're going to threaten them, use it all.
It's important to know though that there is some stuff coming out of the US that's phenomenal, and if it is, I'll stock it.
100%.
I'm always my number one priority is always giving the best product to my consumer.
Yeah.
So there's brands like Redcon One that I love.
They're
in here. You know, there's this. You know, you've got brands like Primeval Labs. You know, you've got Insane Labs. These are products that I really love that I promote, and they're coming out of the US.
But, gotcha. And they were the home of they were the innovators to start with.
So it doesn't mean that just you must always buy Australian products.
No, even myself, I've got my own brand now, which I never thought I'd have in a million years. I love Will's Product to Grind. I use it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yep, I use their whey. It's fun. We all sort of mix and match, and that's the best part.
The example I'm giving you is that I'll always still try new stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's from America or Australia or wherever else, I love trying new products.
We've still got carloads, like our back seats look the same. We both got, tubs from everywhere. We've got every brand in Australia representing our supplement covers at home. I've got different brands, fish oils, magnesium, Supremes, with thermos. I've tried we've all tried every supplement.
I've got pre-workouts from 8 years ago that are well out of date, but I'll refuse to part with them. I'm like, when it's a really special day, like maybe my birthday, I'll pull it out, a little scoop out.
And you get the knife out and crack that scoop in. In the blender.
Blender.
Yes, when the old time.
But it's been a real pleasure having a chat to you boys today. Thanks for coming in. Hopefully next time I'll be transformed into a large, bulky Asian man.
Athletic, mobile.
Yes, adored by all.
Reasonably attractive male. But for now you're going to have to, just deal with me, and I'll be a fill-in for Matt wherever I need to be. So thanks for coming in today, boys. It's been a pleasure chatting, and I hope you've all enjoyed watching the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, follow our channel. Thanks so much, guys.